So, ooh, thank you, person who said recording in process progress. So I want you to rename, put your name, Andelin, put your age, 14, and put where you are, York, Pennsylvania. Now, that's just a hypothetical. I don't know anyone named Andelin who is 14 and lives in York, Pennsylvania. But if you happen to wait, holy cow, there is an Andelin who is 14 and she's from York, Pennsylvania. What a coincidence. Hi, Andelin. She's like, I do not want to be here, Hank. Leave me alone. All right. Aubrey Norby, you need to fix this screen. It's pink.
Yeah, it
Uh,
is.
yeah, I need you to now, those of you who don't have your videos on, we would love to see your faces. So I know you're like, I don't want to have my video. Turn it on. And Samantha, why is it the only top half of your face? Like, come on. Are you eating? Is that why you want to hide your mouth? Oh, you're eating dinner.
That's
All
why.
right. Lake Stevens. There's Hope again. Hudson, great hair. Um, let's see. Gretchen, have you renamed put who you are on there? Gretchen's just like staring at us really close. There's Alyssa. Alyssa, put your age and where you are. Alyssa's eyes go huge. She's like, "What in the world? My phone is speaking to me." Kelsey Ann is 15. She's in Sandy. She's looking great. Kelsey Ann, looking good. All right. There's Sadie. She's 12. Are you in the state of Washington or the city of Washington? She's like, I don't know. Let me look. Let me look outside. Are we in the state of Washington or are we in the city of Washington? Oh, Samantha, dinner looked yummy. Let's see. There's Tate and Blake and Ryan. I only see one of them. I'm guessing it's Tate. It's Blake. It's Blake. Hi, Blake. Hi, Blake. I've always liked you better than Tate and Ryan. I just have to say that right now. Preston is 15. He's in South Jordan. He has his hoodie on because he's a gangster. Adelie is 13. She's in South Carolina. How you doing, Adelie? If Adelie was here, she'd be like, how y'all doing today? I'm a Southern Belle. Adelie, are you a Southern Belle? Yes. Yes, she is. Oh, my word. Noah, why are you so like this? All right. So when you come in, put your name, your age, and where you're from. So Garrett is 18. He's in Meridian. Now,
Yep.
we would love to have your videos on. Caden, Aaron, Theron, Kyle and Cole, Aaron and AJ looking good. Who do you see, Tammy?
Well, I am seeing a lot of people.
I see Texas. Alyssa's in Texas.
Las Vegas.
Howdy, Alyssa. Uh, she's like, come on. That's
Uh,
not.
okay, Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. What time is it there for you, Alina?
Alberta should be the same as us.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's right above us.
Hank, you're so
Kelsey
smart.
and mom knows. She's like,
You
yeah.
must have had good teachers. Very
I
young.
know. I know my Canadian time zones. Eli is driving home, I guess. Yeah. Hi, Eli. It's eyes on the
Utah
road, pal.
pickle.
Eyes on the road.
Chloe, Utah pickle. What?
She's Utah Pickle Cat.
Utah pickle. Is that because you do pickleball?
No,
No,
that's just her name. That's her
just a
last name
nickname.
is Chloe Pickle Cat. Sydney looks so bothered. Sydney Page, do not look so bothered at me. There we go. Oh, what a pretty smile you have, Sydney Page. All right. You make braces look good. That's hard to do. You realize that? You could be a braces model. Dallin is 15. He's in Layton. Austin, why is your finger over the. There he is. Look at that hair. That is beautiful. Austin. Oh, what do they
Yeah,
feed you?
Austin, I like your hair too.
Yeah, what do they feed you in Tennessee? You can grow a beautiful mop like that. That's like rivaling Hudson's head of hair. I mean, that's man, Austin, you keep that, all right? Don't you dare change it. And don't put your thumb over your face. I don't enjoy that. Aaron and AJ are eating by a deer. All right, that's fine. Um, they're in Payson. So we have a lot of Utah, Tammy.
Yep, we do.
We have Spokane, Washington, Lake Stevens, Washington,
Montana, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Canada,
Canton, Georgia.
Washington,
How you doing, Colin?
Texas. It's so fun to see where all of you are from. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. We're excited to be here.
Asen is in Nephi. So you're gonna, those of you who are just coming in, you're gonna put your name, your age, and where you're from. So Taya, I need more than just Taya is 16. Like Taya is 16, but where does she live? Taya, put that down. Unless it's Taya, or how else could you say that? Taya. All right. Theron is here. He's from Mississippi. Right, Theron? Did I get that right? Mississippi. Let's
Yeah.
see. We have Richland, Washington. Oh, that is the cutest dog. Hi, Sadie.
Richland, they have the best apples in Richland, Washington.
Serious?
Yeah.
How do you know that?
Well, come on, Hank.
I don't know if
You might
anyone.
know the time zone of Canada, but I know my apples.
Preston is 15. He's in South Jordan. He was my gangster. I forgot about him. Let's see. Sydney, you're not smiling. Sarah without an H. Sarah, is that a jazz shirt? Oh, I love it. I
Yay.
love it.
Yay, yay, yay.
Hey, Sarah, do you know who Ryan Smith is? The guy who owns the Jazz? You ever heard that name? He owns the Jazz. And my wife grooms their dog. So, hey, come on. That's a pretty big deal, don't you think?
That is.
Yeah. Did you know my wife is dog grooming, Tammy?
I didn't know that. When did she start doing that?
Last year. She's
Cool.
become
That's
quite a
really
little dog groomer. Eli, hey, good to see you, Eli. I didn't know that was you. Hello. Is your sister here?
Noah looks so serious.
No. You tell her I did this. All right.
All
tell
right,
her-
are we ready to jump in, you think?
I guess, but I'm having too much fun just saying hi. But Kelsey Ann's mom is kind of mad, I can tell. Oh, wait, I saw new people. Marshall and Boswell, and Eagle Mountain. And they just have to sit, like their parents are like, you sit here quietly and you like this, so help me. They're like, wonderful. Here's what we do. Gretchen, are you going to fix that name ever? I mean, she's tried multiple times, I think. She's all right. Jerem and Eva and Jacob, all in Washington. Okay, so one more time, Tammy, I'm going to let them know. We would love to have your videos on because we love to see faces. We would love to have your name and your age and where you are, like Eric's in South Carolina. See, that's awesome. Taya's in Farmington. Did I say it right, Taya? Thumbs up if I said it right, Taya. Taya. That's what we would say in our house. Tobler kids. All right. I love your chocolate, Toblerone. And then there's like a bunch at the Cano's house. I think there's a bunch there. They're waving. They're like screaming and waving. Hi, Cano house.
That's cute.
And then they're so great. Oh, they're giving me hearts. Hearts for you back. All right. All right, Tammy. I might interrupt you with like saying hi to people because this
That's
is
all
so
right.
much fun.
We're so excited to have you here. And I'm so excited that I get to do this again with Hank. We did this last year. And by the way, happy Leap Day. We won't have one of these again for 4 more years. So
Yep.
kind of fun. When we were looking at our calendars trying to figure out when to do this, we had one extra day this year and it happened to be the day we could do it. So that was kind of fun.
Isn't that perfect? I was
Perfect.
like, yep.
So welcome tonight to the Teen Dating Boot Camp. My name is Tammy Hill, and I just retired last year from teaching at BYU, but I've taught at BYU for a long time and taught classes on marriage and dating and sexuality, and that's what I do. I'm a therapist, and I actually will let you guys guess how I know Hank. And Hank, you tell him a little bit about you and see if anybody guesses how we know each other.
All right. Let's see. My name is Hank. I do not teach classes on sexuality, and I am not a therapist. However, I do spend a lot of time with teenagers and young adults because I teach at BYU as well. Tammy used to teach at BYU. Let's see. I grew up in St. George, Utah. I played basketball there. I don't think they can guess this, Tammy. I have no idea what kind of clues I could give them.
Well, I have one person, let's see. Yeah, a few people, Lisa and
Yeah,
Garrett, both guessed that I taught you. St. George High School. That's
because I
exactly.
look so young that you could be my teacher. That's why.
Absolutely. You
Unless,
are young. You do
unless,
look young.
yes, I look young. I have my improved my appearance filter all the way up.
So I first met Hank when he was your age.
Those were good times.
They were good times.
She was my teacher. She taught me home ec. They don't call it home ec anymore. What do they call
Family and consumer science.
it?
And my late husband, Mark Mulford, also coached Hank in basketball.
Mm-hmm. Nicest guy, Mark. It wasn't
Yep.
very nice of him to pass away, though. We didn't like
So,
that.
yeah, we miss him.
Yeah, we miss him.
Anyway, welcome tonight. And I'm so glad that I get to do this with Hank because he makes everything so fun. So tonight, as we get started, we'll kind of jump back and forth between each other's screens. And then I will teach a few things. And then Hank's going to jump in and make them sound a lot more fun. And then at the end, we'll leave time open to answer your questions that you might have about dating situations. So welcome tonight. We really hope that this will be something that will bless your lives and that when you come away from our boot camp tonight, that you feel better prepared to make friends and to know how to manage and think about dating situations, particularly for me, that you're knowing how to think about touching in dating situations and kind of understand what those different types of touch mean to you, because I
Oh, that
think
makes me feel uncomfortable.
really
I'll have to
important.
get used to that idea.
You're gonna have to get used to that idea.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah.
I'm good at making people feel a little uncomfortable anyway.
Yeah. She's like, let's talk about touching. I'm like, how about we don't?
I'll talk
All
about
right. All
touching.
right.
Okay. All right, so here we go.
Teen
These
dating
are
boot
just
camp.
kind of some of the things that we're going to be talking a little bit about tonight. Um, let me shrink this up so I can see it better. Knowing your why, having a focus on friendship, having some fun while you're dating, using wisdom while you're dating. Then, like I mentioned, we'll close up with having some. Wow, where did it go clear there? Ah, there we go. Know your why. So I don't know if you know that I host the Live Your Why podcast. And on this podcast, I actually have 8 episodes with Hank. That we have more episodes than that, but there are 8 where we talk about different dating situations. So the things that we might just like, we spend a whole episode talking about ghosting, and we have a lot of
Mm.
different things in talking about dating, that you can listen to those and learn a little bit more in depth some of the things that we've talked about in the past. But I like to have people, I like to focus my therapy, I like to focus my teaching, I like to focus even my parenting and how I choose to live my own life is on knowing my why, knowing what it is I'm about, what my core values are, and then choosing to live aligned with what I believe is most important to me. I believe you're miserable. You know how the Book of Mormon talks about the gulf of misery. I will explain to you what that means to me.
And
Is that
endless woe.
if this is your why, and you're living, it's a vertical alignment with heaven, this is how you want to be living. And what you're choosing to live and how you're choosing to live is, the farther it is away from your why, the more miserable you're going to be. And as you line up and become congruent with actually living what you believe, you feel a lot more peace, you feel a lot more happy, and you're not miserable. So if you're feeling miserable, I challenge you to think about how can you shrink that gulf and start living a little more aligned with your why. Do you want to add anything there, Hank?
Yeah. So Tammy, what you're saying is here's my values and here's my behavior. And sometimes if my behavior is way over here, my values are here, this is not going to feel good.
No, not at all.
Yeah. So I know this happens a lot to Lissa, that she doesn't live her values. Alyssa, we've talked about this many, many times. And she's like, wait, what? That was a secret. So I think what you're saying, Tammy, is don't change your values, change your behavior to fit your values.
100%. 100%. And forgive yourself. You can look through these. You'll have access to this link after we're done with this presentation tonight, so you can go through and rewatch some of this if that's interesting to you. But I think forgiving yourself when you do have behavior that's not really lined up with what you believe you want to be doing or what you really value, there's always, that's what we're here to do, is to learn and to grow and forgive one another and to forgive ourselves in that process. I think it's really important that your dating relationships, particularly in high school and even in college as you start out, is friendship focused. I think it's totally okay to be in the friend zone. Hank, I was teaching in a marriage preparation class a few years ago, and I was talking about how important it is that spouses are really each other's dearest friends. And there was a young lady in class that raised her hand and she said, I don't want to be my husband's friend. And I was so surprised. I thought, why wouldn't you want to be your spouse's dearest friend? And she says, well, that means that we're in the friend zone. What do you think about that?
Okay. I think she's a touch confused. I think once you marry someone, you're no longer friend zone, like permanently. You can be their friend. But speaking of friend zone, how many of you have been friend zoned multiple times? Multiple times. Come on, Sydney, raise your hand. How many of us have been friend zoned multiple times? Multiple times. Yep, that's us. That's us friend zoned people. Marshall's got his hand up. Marshall's like, I don't even have enough fingers to tell you how many girls have friend zoned me. No, Boswell. All right, it's Boswell. Yes, it looks like Boswell is kind of the one who girls don't like. All right, Tammy, back to you.
Yeah, I think when you want to be in the friend zone, as you get to know each other and learn to trust each other, you need to really enjoy spending time together, doing the things that are, again, aligned with your why or are part of your core values. You want to be with someone that has your back. I think loyalty is a huge thing in friendship, that you know that when you're with that person and then that person's with someone else, that they're not going to be talking behind your back negatively about you. Um, I I know that good friends are there. Sometimes it's hard to find good friends in life. When you find a good friend, hold on to that friend, and they'll hold on to you, and that can be something you enjoy forever. Support each other by being good listeners. Be dependable. I think that good friends don't ghost, and good friends don't leave each other unread. I think that the cell phones make it really tricky to date and connect today. Do any of you feel that way? How many of you think cell phones make dating so much harder? I think it makes it so hard. My husband, Jeff, and I, like you know, my husband passed away about 22 years ago, and I remarried 17 years ago. And Jeff and I have together 12 children. And so I've had a lot of children go through high school. And it's amazing how often they think they're in a friendship and then all of a sudden that person's never there anymore, or they leave them unread. Um, or they leave them unread and then weeks later they're all the way back in as kind of being zombied when somebody returns from the dead and starts reaching out again. there's just so much of that happens with cell phones. I think it can be really harmful to attachment and your trust in each other. Don't you think so, Hank?
Yeah, absolutely. That's just the way it is now. I've talked to my students at BYU and they tell me all the rules, right? Like if you go on a date with someone and she doesn't text you back within a couple of hours, she's not interested. And I'm like, wow, this has become more complicated, right? But if she does text you back within 3 days, that means still wants to be friends, right? And you're like, whoa, there are so many rules. So number one, that's the way it goes. That's the world you're in, right,
Yep.
Justin? That is the world you're in. And two, you got to have thick skin. You got to be able, Tammy's like, don't hurt people's feelings. But I'm saying on the other side, don't get your feelings hurt every time this happens. It will hurt. You'll be like, man, that hurts. But you got to be able to shrug it off and move on. Right, Tate? Right, Blake? You got to be like, you know what? That's just the world I live in. Boswell, this is going to happen to you a lot. Girls are going to leave you on red. So get used to that. Get used to that.
It is. You thick skin is an important thing to have. And oh my gosh, sometimes it stings. But this is, I think when you focus on friendship, it can really help. You know what a colander is, right? Where you put something like pasta, spaghetti noodles in it, and all of the water drains out the end, and the noodles are left on top.
This is
I
called a what?
That's a colander
Hollander. I was like,
or
of
a
course I know
strainer.
I was like, I know how to what a calendar is.
A
Aubrey
colander.
thought that too. Aubrey, you thought she said calendar, didn't you? Didn't you? She's like,
Well, I feel like that happens with friends and in dating situations that over time, what's remained up here in the colander or strainer are the people that really are your true friends. Everything else will just kind of dribble off and let it run on through. But hold on to those that really are there and are there for, the long haul.
absolutely. What are we doing to do next, Tammy?
Well, these are just I think these are some red flags that over the years I picked up on my children's dating relationships when they're in high school. So I do want to talk a little bit about red flags. When you see a red flag, it means it's caution. That be careful with this. Be aware that there might be something here that's not helpful or even dangerous. And so these are a few that I just put them together a little while ago as things that I see that cause me concern as a parent. One of them is when you're in a dating or friendship relationship and they don't like being with your friends, your other friends, or with your family. I think that's a little bit of a red flag. Back when I was in high school, I dated a guy and he would come over to our home sometime, and I loved being with my family. I loved playing games with my family. We'd a lot of times play basketball outside or swim. And he would always want to go into this, like the home teaching room that we used to have in the old days, or the family room where no one ever was. And he just wanted to be in there and talk and hold hands or kiss a little. And he never wanted to come in and be with the family. And I think that was a red flag that I should have tuned into maybe a little earlier than I did. Um, make sure they want to be with people that you love. Uh, Also, don't let anyone ever stop you from doing things that you love. You want a true friend to support you in your dreams. When you are in a future marriage relationship, you want to be in a marriage where your spouse is going to support your dreams and you're going to be able to support his or her dreams. And I think that's an important thing to watch for. Anytime they make you feel self-conscious about your appearance. My sister was in a dating relationship, this is long ago, and she was dating a guy and actually engaged to him. He always made her feel like she didn't look very nice. And
What?
yeah, it was horrible. She was an athlete, and in the olden days, female athletes in high school, when I was in high school is when female athletes women started to be able to play sports. before that, women could not play sports. And my sister was very much an athlete. She was one of those early women that played sports in high school, and she had short hair, and she didn't wear makeup, and she was really flat chested. And so she wasn't really curvy, and she wasn't really feminine. And as she got older, she served a mission. She's a great person. She got home and dated a guy, and he always made her feel like she was so unattractive. And she would come home in tears often. So I was
Oh,
really
that's terrible.
grateful when she broke off that relationship. It was terrible. I think they get jealous easily. They want you to hide things maybe from other people that you respect. This is a big one. They add drama to your life. If you've been with someone and they just seem to add drama and turmoil and confusion, and manipulate a little bit the way you think about things or how they respond to the things that you're doing, I think that's a red flag to be aware of, and maybe step aside or step out of that. I think you're consistently worrying about how they're going to react to you, to what you do or to what you say. And I think we've all been around people like that in our lives, where if we do something or say something and they always get upset, it's like you're walking on eggshells. You don't have to remain in a friendship like that and anytime. Not that you don't love and support and help people, but you certainly don't need to stay in a serious dating relationship with that. People that red flag if they push you to do things against your standards. This is something I saw a lot when I was teaching at BYU. Students who would tell me that they were dating someone and the person they were dating were making physical touch and making out more and more part of the relationship rather than and sometimes when they weren't comfortable with what they were doing, they were still kind of pushing the edge that way physically. If that's happening in your friendships and in your dating relationships, that is definitely a red flag.
Yeah.
Your physical body is yours. And you need to give full consent, wholehearted consent before someone starts pushing you to do things that against your will.
Absolutely. 100%. If someone is in your life like that, usually a guy with a girl, sometimes it can be the opposite, but usually it's a guy with a girl. You get rid of them. Send them a text that says, please do not contact me again. Goodbye. And that's it. That's over. And then when they text you again, you don't text them back. That's it.
In this situation, Hank, wouldn't you say it's okay to ghost?
Oh, 100%.
I think
100%.
so too. In this situation, do it.
Yeah, they are the ones that hurt the friendship, not you.
Right. Sometimes you'll have people who want to make you feel like you're responsible for their mental, especially their mental health, that if they're not happy, you've got to do things to help them be happy. Or if they're feeling in any way like anxious, or they're whatever the emotional well-being that they're experiencing, and they're trying to make you manage that for them, that's a red flag. We shouldn't try to manage each other's emotions. In therapy, I see this a lot with couples, and most of the couples I work with are members of the church, and a lot of times they start trying to manage each other's emotions, and that can get really exhausting.
Oh, terrible. Yeah.
Hank, you jump in if you have any stories you want to add.
Oh, it's just you guys, that's not a friend. You are not a therapist. How many of you had a friend who expect you to be a therapist? Any of you had a friend that's like, you're now my therapist? You can say words like, I don't know, how could you do this like normally? You could say, hey, you know what? I'm not a professional at this. I love talking to you, but you need to talk to someone who knows what they're talking about. You could be like this. I little, right? You can try that, Lily. I little, like I don't ask me what to do with these things. I think that's right on, Tammy. If someone is like using you as a therapist and that's all they do, like you almost have like daily sessions, that's not a friendship.
That is not, and it's a red flag. That's going to be someone that's going to drain you of your energy and of your potential. I want to make sure you, especially you young women, we have, as women, I think everyone's encouraged to be kind. I think generally women tend to not want to disrupt or make anyone feel bad, a little bit, maybe more than men do. Anytime you are feeling in your gut that this is not good, or you're worried or scared that there might be some type of abuse, verbally, physically, any type of situation where your heart and your gut is feeling uneasy, listen to your gut. Listen to your gut. You don't need to be, you don't need to be kind. If you don't know, and you're feeling really anxious and uncertain about a situation, step back and don't go. It wasn't very long ago, I was at a doctor's appointment, and it was with a new doctor that I'd never met before. And this is as an old woman like me. And I felt like I did never met him, and I felt like he was so comfortable with my body long before I was comfortable with him with my body. And I went to him one time and I was just on edge the whole time and felt like I'd never gone back to that doctor. You do not want to stay with someone or in a situation at all where you feel uneasy and your gut is like telling you this probably isn't safe. Listen to that.
100%, Tammy. No question at all.
Let's see, they want to keep your relationship a secret. That's a big red flag. This is one that was interesting. I had a son years ago that was in a dating relationship, a serious dating relationship. He was in college and she was in college, and they dated for about a year, and they weren't really progressing towards marriage. They were kind of stuck, and you'll find that sometimes that happens. And I started praying that he would be able to have clarity and see things clearly. And I asked him to start praying for the same thing, to have clarity in the relationship. And he ended up breaking up with this girl, but when I was talking to him, he said he had observed her just talking so unkindly about other people. And she was kind of really unkind to someone in the grocery store when they were in the store together. And he saw that and realized, I don't really want to be with someone that talks negative or gossips about other people and is unkind to total strangers. If they're treating people like that, outside of a relationship like that, just imagine how it might be that they would treat me down the road. So I was really grateful that he had that clarity come to him. And then finally, it feels like you're always trying to make up to them. If a red flag is if you've been in and out of a relationship multiple times, it's probably best to step out of the relationship and stay out of the relationship. Those are just some things that I've kind of compiled over the years as a mom and that I pass on to people that I teach.
That's awesome. You guys, you got to listen to this. Tammy has so much experience with these things, like decades of studying it and looking at it and talking with people your age and college students. We really got to pay attention to this. Tammy, can you go back back to the first 6? I think it is.
Yeah.
See if you can.
Oops.
Oh, wow.
We're supposed to let you see that too. Yeah. Here we go.
All right. So let's do the exact opposite of what Tammy just did. Let's look at things that would be green flags, right?
Green flags,
things we want to do, things that if you want to be a good friend, if you want people to hang out with you, Cambry, right? If you want people to Cano, Stevens, Phillips, everyone else, if you want people to like, hey, I want to spend time with you, then do the exact opposite. One, let people be with other friends and with their family and be okay with it, right, Hudson? Like when people say, hey, I'm going to go spend time with my family, say, go have a great time. Or I'm going to go hang out over here with these people. Aubrey, you can be self-confident enough to where you're like, okay, go have a good time. Like, I hope you have fun over there. Right, Blake? Right? Like, let them go enjoy. That's not Blake anymore. Is that Ryan? Here, Ryan. Let's see. Go to number 2. They want you to stop doing things you love to be with them. Don't be this kind of friend. Be someone who's like, I hope you do what you love. Right? Samantha, right? Like push your friends to do the things they love. Enjoy that. Abigail, are you listening to me? Abigail, orphans, pay attention to Ignacio. They make you feel self-conscious about your appearance. So what would the opposite of that be? never comment on someone else's appearance. Just don't do that. Unless your friend has like a big honking like ugly black thing on their teeth. And they're like, hi, how are you? And you're like, we've got to get rid of that. Don't comment on anybody's weight or height or looks. Just don't do that at all, especially body. Don't do that. Okay, number 4. This would be easy. Don't show. Sometimes you can be jealous, but you don't have to act jealous. Right? So don't be jealous. Hey, Steven's girl up there, tell the rest of the group, don't be jealous. Go ahead, tell them. Don't be jealous. Alina, are you hearing me? Don't. Jealousy is not attractive. Can we say that one more time? Put this in your notes, Lissa. Put this in your notes. Jealousy is 3 things: unattractive, unattractive, and unattractive. Aubrey, you got me? Jealousy is what 3 things? Unattractive, unattractive, and lastly, unattractive. Very good. Jealousy is unattractive. Okay, number 5. They want you to hide things from people you respect and love. This is crazy. You should never encourage your friends to hide things from people. They add drama to your life. So what would the opposite of that be? Don't add drama. Noah, I know you can do this. Do not add drama to people's lives. Do not be one of those people. I got to tell you, Tammy, my daughter is she's up at college in Idaho. And she said her and her 5 roommates were hanging around, and there was a bunch of guys who they know who said, hey, do you guys want to come to our apartment and play games? And they're like, yeah, we want to go to your apartment. So that night they were all getting ready to go. And one of my daughter's roommates, her name is Emma, she was getting ready to go. And a different roommate named Brooke, she said to her, she said, oh, they didn't mean you.
No.
And so Emma stayed home. My daughter stayed with her. She's like, Dad, can you believe that? And I was like, that is drama, right?
That's so
Absolute
wonderful.
drama. And it's just plain rude. All right, let's do the next ones, Tam, just real quick. Go to that 7 through 14. Where did they go? I can't see them. They don't like, okay, go one more. All right. Do not be someone who everyone has to be worried about your reaction. Right? Adelie, your friends don't have to be like, oh, I could do that, but Adelie will go crazy. Right? Right? Hope, don't be a drama queen. Do not be a drama queen. They push you to do things against your standards. Never be that friend. They manipulate and try to make you responsible for their mental or physical health. Some of you might be here and be like, oh yeah, I kind of use my friends as a therapist. This would be a good time to shoot them a text and be like, I just learned that I'm using you as a therapist. I'm going to stop doing that right now. Eric, just email that friend that you've been using as a therapist and tell them that is going to stop. Eric, how come you're not nodding like you should be? Like you're right there. He is. Eric, you're in South Carolina. Yes, I know it's you. There. Okay, there's some nodding. I got some thumbs up. Never, of course, never verbally or physically abuse someone. Let's see. Don't try to keep a relationship a secret. Don't be that kind of person. Obviously, don't be unkind. Don't gossip. You won't have a lot of friends if you gossip. Preston, do you hear me? You will not have a lot of friends if you gossip. Hope, why are you looking the other way? Look at me. Hope, you will not have a lot of friends if you gossip. Good job, Alina. Where to say straight ahead. Sydney, I'm glad you're not smiling. Say just straight ahead. All right. And the last one, it feels like you're always trying to make it up to them. Don't be that friend who's like, hey, you need to make that up to me. All right. So this is pretty much, Tammy, I'm hearing these are red flags, but the things that we should do are pretty much the opposite of don't be dramatic. Don't use your friends. Don't hurt your friends, of course. Anything.
Right. Totally. Great. I'm glad you did that, Hank. I think that was really important. Now, do you see these 2 pictures, guys?
Oh,
Hank, that's how I remember you when you were back in Snow Canyon High
so
School.
cute. Hudson, do you see that hair? That is good looking hair right there.
And I was so excited. This is back, they just barely started getting color film when I was in high school practically.
Oh
And
my word, that's a long
that
time ago. Sorry.
was, it was a long time ago. I think you're right. And I was so excited to wear that little boa. I thought it was so cute and so pretty. And my dad was so upset that that was the picture for my high school
Oh, it looks
graduation.
great.
Anyway, what are some of the fun dates you can remember doing, Hank, or fun things that you've seen your students or your kids do?
Oh, this is great. Mostly, I think people have more fun if they're not like sitting on a couch watching a movie. That's not
100%.
bad, right? Watching a movie isn't a bad thing, but that's every single thing you do together. Probably not. Probably not. Like we need to get outside of that circle and do some more creative things. I like the list you have here. My family plays a lot of games. So if you can teach your friends a card game, right? It seems kind of odd at first, but once you do it and they get into it, you can laugh a lot playing some sort of card game or board game or something like that. One thing I did that's definitely not on this list, but I frequently asked out girls that who had never been on a date.
Mm.
That was something that was just important to me. I don't know why. Someone gave me the idea. So when I was a senior, I would ask around who's never been on a date, and some the friends I had would be like, "Oh, so and so's never been on a date." I'm like, "Okay, I'm gonna ask her out." And they were excited to go on dates. Like when I'd pick them up, they were just like, "This is gonna be amazing, right? So much fun." So that's something I did is I'd watch out for people who didn't go on dates, and I'd take them on group dates with me and my friends.
I love that. And I know that there is a responsibility that you have, I think, a little more as guys than girls to give girls an opportunity to go out on dates. And
Yeah.
so I love that you did that, Hank. I want you all to know that Hank has always been a good guy, even in.
Always, always.
Okay, as long as I've known you, Hank, you've
Sure,
been
sure.
really great person. And the fact that you were doing that in high school doesn't surprise me at all.
Mm.
One of my favorite, well, I have to tell you, one of my favorite, well, it was embarrassing, but I was asked out in high school by a guy that I thought was he was very popular and he was really cute, and I was so excited. And we went to Windwalker, the movie. Now, I know probably none of you have ever heard of that movie.
Wind Walker.
Windwalker is one of the
Oh,
Jorgensen books where
okay.
long ago. It's an Indian movie, right? It's about an India. It's a good movie. Look it up. Maybe it's still around. But we went to Windwalker at the theater, and that was a big deal to go to the theater back in those days because you had to pay like $2.50 for a ticket.
Ooh.
But you also only earned about 75 cents to $1 an hour. And so it was a big sacrifice to take someone to the movies. And
There is no way you are this old.
I am this old. It was
You're
my
like,
sister, my sister and I used to go to the Saturday matinees for 50 cents when we were little.
you're like, they had just invented cars when I started dating. All right,
No,
keep going.
we
Sorry,
definitely
sorry.
had cars. But I have to tell you, I was so excited to go with him, and he was such a gentleman. And during the movie, he reached over and he held my hand.
Oh,
Oh my goodness, no one had ever held my hand before, and it was very exciting. And I don't know what happened, but my heart started beating really hard, and I just felt so excited, and it was really exciting for me. And I learned a lot about touch on that date. That now that might sound better, but that could
wow,
that
wow.
better
I learned a
because
lot about touch.
we didn't do anything other than hold hands. But I learned in that date that you can have physiological, your body can respond to touch in ways that are really natural and wonderful, but also can be really surprising. So that was a date that I always will look back and remember it being really fun and also really exciting and something that I learned a lot from.
So he held your hand.
He held my hand.
Oh, that's so nice. Is
Yeah.
this isn't the one that you told me about a couple of months ago, was it?
What did I tell you?
You said that something happened after.
Yes, yes, I didn't
You're
know
not
you.
going to tell that part?
Okay, I'll tell that part, but it's really embarrassing. So he held my
Aubrey, listen, Aubrey, are you listening to this? Okay, hang on. I got to make sure they're all listening.
All right.
Abigail, Kelsey Ann, Lily, Cambry, Sarah, are you listening? Not if you're listening. Everyone nod if they're listening. John, are you listening? All right.
I'm
No,
really
Noah, I'm
embarrassed
not
that
looking at
you
you anymore.
remember this, Hank.
All right. Okay, everyone
There
pay
he
close
is.
attention. There she is.
There's
She's in the
this
theater.
guy. I'm 16 years old. He's 18 years old, and his name is Wayne. And Wayne reached over and held my hand in the movie, and my heart did start beating, and something else happened. I started to wet my pants. It was horrible. Oh my God. It was horrible. Horrible. And
Cambry, that was the perfect reaction right there. Cambry covers her face like, oh my word.
it
So
was horrible.
I got to hear more about this. So he held your hand, you start peeing your pants. And what did you do?
I
Like
didn't
what?
know what to do. I didn't know what to do. I froze, and I have popcorn, and I I just froze. I didn't have like a sweatshirt or a jacket or anything. It was in the summertime. And so I just sat there through the movie.
Oh,
Oh my
this is
gosh,
beautiful.
it was horrible. And then I don't know. I don't know if he ever knew because he never. He was certainly very nice, but I was so self-conscious, and I.
Oh, I hope that someone here who's like, wait, my grandpa Wayne told me this story. Oh my word. If any
Oh
of you
my
have a
God.
grandpa Wayne, please let us know. All
Ask
right.
him. Ask him if he ever dated a girl named Tammy Snell.
Oh my word. I can't believe that happened to you.
It was so embarrassing. Oh, so stressful.
Oh,
Hank, what was something that was really stressful for you or embarrassing to you on a date in high school?
oh, not that. I can tell you, not that. I'll tell you one. I was on a date once and it was raining and we had a spot where we were going to go, a bunch of us were going to go to a campfire. You'll know exactly where this was. Do you remember the Santa Clara River?
Yes.
Santa Clara Creek, right? It's just a creek, no big deal. And I had this little truck, and me and my date were in this little truck, and we just had to cross this little creek. You guys, that's all you had to do was cross this little creek, and you went, the road goes through the creek, no big deal. Well, that night it had rained really hard, and I'm like, oh, we'll be fine, no big deal. So I pull up to the creek. It is not a creek, you guys.
Oh
It
no.
it is a like it's a torrent. But I think to myself, Tammy, I know now. I know now, Lily. All right. I know now. But I was like, well, I want to go to the fire and do what we were gonna do. So I just backed up and gunned it. I just gunned it. And we got halfway through and we got stuck. So now the river is running. Her name was Casey. Casey, you probably remember her, Tammy. Casey, blonde hair, cowgirl.
Yeah.
The water was up past the door, not past the doors, but past the
But
bottom of the doors.
yeah.
So I'm like, well, what are we gonna do? So I had to open the door to get out, and the water started coming in the truck.
Oh no.
Yeah, and we were both sopping wet when I got out on the other side.
Oh.
And it's such a terrible idea. She looked at me like, you're such a fun date. You are Casey Price. That was her name, Casey Price. Oh man, that was a bad. So if any of your moms are Casey Price, if you're like, wait, that's my mom, tell her I'm so sorry. Yeah, it was bad. It was embarrassing, stressful, and memorable, at least.
Yeah. So how'd you get unstuck?
Oh, Kyle Hafen came and brought a wench and pulled it out.
Good old Kyle.
I'm not a witch. I'm your wife. Anyways, came and he came and helped me get a chain on it and pulled the truck out. But and I didn't tell you this part. I was like, hey, how come you got across the creek to Kyle? I'm like, how'd you get across the creek? He's like, oh, there's a bridge like 4th mile away. I was like, oh, you gotta be kidding.
Oh no,
Right.
Hank.
There's a bridge just down
Oh.
the road. Oh, I've never told that story ever. I
I've
don't think I'll
never
tell
heard
it
that.
again.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. Well, I hope that you will be creative, and I love what Hank said, that watching movies is fun sometimes, and we all enjoy that. But when you're watching a movie, you're not really getting to know someone. You're being entertained together. And so I always encourage you to do, at least for the first several dates, things where you're going to have eye contact and talk to each other and get to know each other rather than be entertained. I
Yeah, go
think
bowling, go on a little hike. We have a bunch of dogs at our house. Take the dogs out and go play with the dogs. Anything, but yeah, let's just sit around and stare at a glowing box.
yeah, don't do that.
Yeah.
So now we're gonna, if you want, do you have any stories you want to jump in with at all, Hank, before I
I'll
move?
let you know. I'll let you know. You keep going.
Okay, okay. Well, I want to talk a little bit about being wise while you're dating, keeping your parents informed. Believe it or not, your parents, I think most parents really love you more than you can even imagine. I can remember holding my brand new little baby, my oldest son, in my arms as a little baby. And I looked at my mom and I said, I didn't know you loved me this much. And she smiled
Oh,
and she said, oh, sweetheart, you have no idea. And I didn't have any idea because that love grows every single day. You're with that child, and no one loves and wants the best for you more than your mom and dad. And I think because they have your best interest at heart, even if you might think they're a little old-fashioned or they don't really understand what you're going through, show respect to them and let them know what it is you're doing. Keep them informed of who you're with, where you're going, and then ask them even if they will, mom and dad, what time would you like me to be home? What time would you like us to be home? So that you know they are up waiting for you. Someone, well, I guess I don't know that every parent is. In my home, I waited up for it. We had all these teenagers. I raised 10 teenagers, and I was up waiting for them every date. I would wait till they would get home, and you do start to worry when they're late. And so keep your parents informed. That's just a cool thing to do, and to realize that they love you so much.
can I tell a story, Tammy? Would that be
Yeah,
okay?
please do.
I'm
Yeah,
gonna I'm gonna stop yours from sharing, but but I
great.
don't want to take it down forever. I'm gonna bring mine up and then I'll bring you back on. That's
Perfect.
okay. All right. I want to show you guys something. Let's just say some of you know me pretty well. I know Lissa knows me and a couple others know me. What if I were to tell you, where is my car? Here it is. What if I were to tell you that just go with me on this. It's not true, but go with me on this. What if I told you that because you came to teen boot teen dating boot camp, is that what we call this, Sam?
Yeah.
Um, that you're going to get this car. Hey, Noah, stop it. Noah, stop it. Put that away. Noah, come on. I know a guy who shouldn't be doing that. All right. So if I gave you this car for coming to camp, Noah, get rid of that. Like hit delete or something, whatever actually, I know how to do this. I know how to kick Noah out of here. Watch me do. Just kidding, Noah. Just kidding. Just take it away. It makes it weird. Okay, so let's say I give you this car. All right, Theron, Adelie, I give you this car. This car, you guys, goes zero. It goes 0 to 60 in 2.4 seconds.
Wow.
2.4 seconds. Do you realize you could be going 0 and now be going 60 miles an hour? Like, listen to how long that is. 60 miles an hour. Do you realize, like, yeah, there you go. Aaron, AJ, that's what it would be. It would be like total throttle you back. It would be amazing. Okay, so Theron. Is that Theron? Who was that? Fact. Thank you, Theron. All right, so Theron, that's not you, is it? Theron, that's not you. Oh, it's Noah. Wonderful. Noah. Hey, guys who are with Noah, hit him hard. Like just hit him hard. There, very good. Thank you. Now he won't be able to, thank you. Thumbs up. Okay, so let's say that I give you this car. By the way, I think it's worth something like $5.6 million. So it's called the Bugatti Veyron. They only make like 60 of them every year. This car has a top speed of 242 miles an hour, right? Like this, Sarah, when you go to 242 miles an hour in this car, okay, nod if you get this. When you go that fast, there's a fin that comes out the back so you don't fly. All right, like that's it has to come out the back, or else the car will fly off the ground and head into the sky. So I'm gonna give you this car. Like Tammy and I, we've done really well. We worked at BYU. So we're gonna give you all this car, and let's say it's delivered to your house. All right, so there it is. You can choose the color. You can choose blue if you're a BYU fan, or red, or white if you want to go to the temple. Right. So, Austin, you pull this car into your driveway. It is yours, and it is beautiful. Now, let's say that you have to run. You've got to go do service because that's the kind of person you are. You go to do service, and Preston, pay attention. Preston, do not argue with your mother about this car. Pay attention. All right. So, let's say that I give you this car, and you have to go somewhere. So you give the keys to your dad, right? Because who here would trust your dad with the keys? Who here would trust your dad with the keys? Good, good. Okay. How about your mom? Who would give their mom the keys? Like you'd give your mom the keys. All right. How many would you give a sibling? How many of you would give a sibling the keys? All right, John, you're such a trusting guy. All right. So you give dad or mom the keys, and you say, hey, I'm going to go do my service project. I'll be back. Please put my car in the garage. And they're like, absolutely. We'll take care of it. So you get home that night after doing your service, and your car's not in the driveway anymore. You're like, good old mom or good old dad. He put it in the garage. So let's say you go in and you want to go to bed, but first you want to kiss your car goodnight, because this is a Bugatti Veyron that goes 0 to 60 in 2.4 seconds. So you go, Sarah, you open the garage door to go into the garage, you flip the light on, and it's not there. Your car is not there. And you're like, okay, remain calm, right? How many of you would remain totally calm? You'd be totally fine, right? How many of you would freak out at that moment? You would freak out. Your car is not there. Austin, raise your hand, right? You'd be like, I am upset. But you are a calm, rational, mature teenager. So you gently and quietly walk to your parents' rooms and you say, hey, mom, dad, where's my car? Where's my car? And they're like, car. And you're like, where's the car? Sorry. Didn't mean to freak out. Just, where's my car? Where is my car? And they say, hey, relax. All right, relax. It's fine. We lended it out to someone. And you're like, what? Yeah, we lent it out to someone. Who? We caught a name. You know him. He comes over here all the time. Who? Mike. I think his name's Mike. Mike has my car. Yeah, Mike has your car. When's he going to bring it back? He didn't say, but he said he would bring it back. Mom, Dad, what's he going to do? Where's he going to go in my car? Right. And they're like, he didn't say. But honestly, why are you getting so upset? You need to relax, because this is kind of bothering me that you're getting so upset. All right. Now, use appropriate language, but go to the chat and describe to me how you feel, or what your father, how would you describe your father at this moment? I just want to see those of you who want to describe for me. Okay. I see throw up. Thank you, Rachel. Internal screaming. I'm ending him. Wow. I hate you. Okay. Throw hands. All right, guys, this is abuse at that point. Red face. Our parents than that. Lissa, stop. Thank you, Blake. Scream. More screaming. So far I'm going to punch him. I would be calling 911. I would punch a wall. All right. My face would be calling 911. That's actually really funny. I'm going to sob, yelling, extra arm. Get in my submarine. Eric, I don't understand that. Where's my Batmobile? Passes out in French. much. I would chase him down and he will pay. All right. I would pray. Oh, Alyssa, you're so, my parents would be grounded. Fist balls up, steam coming out of my ears. Mike is standing on business. Thanks, Matthew. Thanks. All right. So, now you're not going to love me for this. All right. You're not going to love me, but let's see. I'm going to stop sharing so you can see me. You're not going to love me for this, but that Bugatti Veyron, let's say that you are the car. You, Lissa, you, Alina, you, Theron, you're that car. And your owner is your mom and dad. And you want to go out on a date. And so they say, where are you going? I don't know. Who are you going with? Just a bunch of people. Just a bunch of people going out. And they're like, well, wait, you're going out with a bunch of people? When are you going to be back? I don't know. And then you say this to your parents: relax. It's not a big deal. They'll bring me back, right? Well, what time? I don't know. Now, I want to go back in the chat here. I want to hear exactly what you said about your parents at that moment. Let's go back and see what you said. You said, okay, so your parents are upset that someone's going to take their little Bugatti Veyron. Aubrey, that's you. You're your dad's little Bugatti. You thought you were dad's little girl. You're not. You're dad's little Bugatti. And someone wants to take you out on a date and don't know who it is, when they're coming home, anything about them. Aubrey said internal screaming. That's what she said. She said internal screaming. So, Aubrey, will you remember that the next time you're like, I'm just going to go out with my friends, that your parents will be screaming internally, not eternally. Rachel, throw up. Austin, I'm ending him. I would feel like slapping someone. Freddie, I hate you. That's what you would say. I hate you. I would throw hands. I would be angry. My parents are better than that. Are you though? My face would call 911. I would punch a wall. Emoji, swearing emoji. I'd get in my submarine. Still don't understand that one. He will pay. My parents would be grounded. So will you please remember the next time you're like, hey, I'm going to go out with a bunch of people. I don't know who they are, where they're going, but my mom and dad should not care all that much. Will you please remember you are dad and mom's little Bugatti. In fact, you are more important to them than that car. Tammy, back to you.
100% more important. You are everything to them. Thanks, Hank. I love that analogy. Do you mind putting on my slides again?
Yeah, you can go down to the bottom.
You want me to do it? Okay.
Yeah, I don't think I can do it for you. Hit share screen again.
Got it. I got it. There we go.
There you go. Perfect.
I love that. As you know, considering group dates as much as possible, I think is good. I also think as you get into a little bit like in high school, junior, senior year, that it's good also to go out on one-on-one dates on occasion too. It's interesting. I've had students at BYU that, you know, they've gone on missions at 18 and they've come to BYU after their missions, and I'm meeting them when they're 21, 22 years old, and they've never gone out on a one-on-one date with someone before. It's always been group dates, and it can cause a lot of stress and anxiety learning how to do that maybe in college. And in college, you can also do group dates, but I want you to know, I think it's all right to occasionally go out one-on-one in high school. What do you think about that, Hank?
Yeah, totally fine. And I would also say, like, one, you don't want to get into a relationship when you're in high school. It's just, I've yet to meet someone who did that and thought that was a great idea. Most people who do that are like, you know what? I probably should have like hit the brakes on that. Hey, we just did a car analogy. I should probably hit the brakes on that. So I wouldn't do that. And also, Tammy, we could probably say that, listen, if you're not dating yet, you could be 16, 17, 18, and you're not going on dates. You're not weird. You're not broken. That happens. That happens. My friend John, he didn't go on a date till he was like 24. It just freaked him out a little bit. No big deal. You're not broken.
You're not broken, and there's a lot of time. There is a lot of time to have dating opportunities. And what you're learning, I think, tonight and how to make good friends is so helpful in that transition to dating. Um, of course, we're going to talk a little bit more about consent in a minute and know what different types of dating touch mean to you. I think that's an important thing. We'll talk more about that in a second. Recognize any type of abusive behaviors, emotional or physical. We talked about that just a minute ago about the red flags and the green flags. But again, if anything's making you feel uncomfortable, use the wisdom. You don't need to date that person and go with them. Let's talk a little bit about dating apps for a minute. A lot of safety. I happened to long ago when Mutual got started, the Mutual dating app got started, they invited me to be one of their dating experts on the app to give dating advice to people who submitted questions. And what are some guidelines, Hank? I've got several ideas. I'll talk first, but guidelines as far as meeting people on apps. I'd love to hear your what you think. I know maybe in high school, how many of you are actually using an app to date in high school? Or is it mostly you're dating people that you're seeing and around there?
Oh, maybe not like on apps, Tammy, but they might meet up with someone who like they met online, like in a video game or in Snapchat or in someone they met online. Maybe not a dating app per se, but someone you met online.
How many of you dated someone that you met online?
And if
Maybe
you met
that's
someone in person that you met online. All right, not very many.
not very many. I think that's actually really wise. I'm glad to see that. I think having some guidelines around that, making sure that you're meeting someone, letting your parents and people that you trust know where you are, go in a group, meet someone somewhere in public. Make sure that you have just safety precautions in case it's something that's a little suspicious or fishy, and we all know that that kind of thing happens. But I think be very wise about that. Use the spirit. Be
Yeah.
careful with.
Tammy, I think sometimes people think they're talking to Erica, who's 15, and really they're talking to Doug, who's 47 and he lives in his
Totally.
mom's basement. So just be careful with who you think you're talking to online. You might not be talking to them.
That's one of the things that that is your world. We mentioned that earlier tonight. This is your dating world. It wasn't my dating world. It wasn't Hank's dating world. I don't think it was
No.
your dating world. Um, Please be wise. We want you to be able to live and enjoy this mortal life opportunity free from a lot of challenges that could come up if you choose to start engaging and meeting people that you really don't know who they are from meeting them online. Try to be prayerful, listen to your gut, like I said, listen to the Holy Ghost guide you along. Choose to do things that you feel like just are wise. Be smart. I want to also really challenge you. Get an alarm clock for your rooms. I've had my own children, many students who have started communicating with people online on their phones at night in their bedrooms. And I think one of the healthiest things that you can do for yourself, that you can do for relationships, and in preparation for marriage, that you can do for your future marriage relationship is to just get an alarm clock and not have your phone in your bedroom. I have couples that I met with a couple 2 weeks ago. They've been married 5 months. They've been married 5 months. They married in the temple, great people. And they came for help because they absolutely have no idea how to connect. They both go to bed with their phones, not with each other. And so we started talking about rituals. What are healthy rituals to do when you're married with your phones, and how to make evenings about each other rather than we're just by ourselves on our phones. I
Tammy,
believe
I met a girl who's like 16 and she's like, I don't want to be one of those people that is constantly on my phone. So she left her charger in like the guest room. She did not have a charger in her room. So she's like, gotta go plug in my phone, right? Because it needs to be charged. And it can't be charged in my room. That was just her way of being like, you know what? I'm just not gonna do that. And she chose that. Like no one made her do that. She just chose it. I thought it was cool.
I think that is so cool to be so self-aware and do that. I also think you can put it in the guest room, you can put it in the kitchen. When we didn't really have a lot of strict rules when my children were teenagers. But one rule we did have is that everybody, including my husband and I, we would charge our phones in the kitchen at night. And so no one was going to bed with a phone that they were going to
Yeah.
be tempted to start chatting with someone or looking at things that are inappropriate. For your own safety and for your own happiness, I think one of the healthiest things you can start doing now is to leave your phone outside of your bedroom.
100%. Absolutely. And you choose to do it. I know some of your parents are going to be like, okay, this is what we're doing, which is totally fine for your parents to do that. But if they don't, you choose to do it.
Yeah, you choose to do it because it really is what's best for you. Okay, I'm going to start talking about things that are like my favorite subject because I actually am a sex therapist and I love, um, I think physical touch and romantic touch, affection, and when you're married, having that sexual aspect of your relationship is such an important part of who you are. And so right now, I want to talk with you a little bit about physical touch. So everybody take
Okay. Now that everyone's uncomfortable, all right, everyone take a deep breath.
yeah,
Sydney, I
breathe
know
in.
you're
No.
Sydney has the exact same face the entire time. Sydney, can you see me? Sydney, can you see me? This is you. Like 100%. Like Alina's kind of the same way. She looks like she's like staring straight ahead. All right, Tammy, we're all uncomfortable. We're going to talk about touch.
We are. We're going to talk about touch for a minute, physical
All
touch,
right. All right. I'll be prepared. I'll be
right?
prepared. I'm going to throw up in
Anything
my mouth a little, but I'm prepared.
you share any stories you want, Hank.
Okay. Okay.
So I have to tell, this is going to date me too, but back when I was in high school and in college, actually, we had boom boxes. And that is a boom box. I don't know if you even know what a boom box looks like, but that is how we listen to music.
That's a
We would
boom box.
There was a boom box that would have a radio where you would adjust the knob to be able to receive different stations and music on different radio stations. It would have a cassette player. If it was really a good machine, it would have two cassette players in it
Whoa. Okay.
that
Two
you're
cassette players.
yeah, you put your music in, listen that way. And the cool thing was to carry your boombox around on your shoulder and have the volume up loud, but you're listening to it in your ear. So like that was, if you did that, you were just really cool
Oh
and
my word. Okay.
crazy. I was teaching this not long ago. I was in Arizona teaching this not long ago, and I had the sweetest young lady raise her hand and she said, "Why didn't you just turn on your Alexa?"
Uh, wow. Why not?
And it's like, well, we didn't even have the internet back in those days, guys.
And if
We
I remember, Tammy, you had to load this thing full of batteries. Like,
Yeah,
and they were
yeah,
expensive
eight
batteries. They are
batteries.
not cheap.
Yeah, it took eight big of the big fat batteries to, at least the one I had eight. So anyway, this is how we would listen to music. And if you look at that boombox, you can kind of see how there's little knobs on it. So what we would do is we would start the music and you don't see, but when it was the radio, you could pull up an antenna that would go really high out the top of it. And then you would adjust to get the best sound. If it was a cassette, you didn't need the antenna, but you would still be adjusting the treble and the bass and the different acoustics so that you could get the best quality of music from this boombox. And I like to start talking about physical touch in dating with boomboxes because I think having the picture of a dating stereo in mind is helpful. And I've got these the knobs you could turn this way, and sometimes they would have knobs that you could go up and down with. And this particular little picture has knobs that are going up and down. And this actually is, I've taken this from research that was done by John Van Epp, an excellent book that every one of you should look into, especially as you start dating, seriously dating people, is How to Avoid Falling in Love with a Jerk.
It's actually a really good book. It's kind of an odd title, but it's a really
It
good
is
book.
an odd title. He's a great man. I've had John Van Epp has been on my podcast, and he's done all of his research has been around dating relationships and how those dating relationships progress and become either successful or really unsuccessful marriages. And so in his research, he has talked about knowing someone, then trusting someone, relying on someone, committing to someone, and then the physical touch aspect of the relationship. So when you know someone, you're talking, you're seeing them in situations, real life situations. You're able to see if that you have common interests. You're just learning about someone, and the more you get to know someone, that's the very first category. This should be the first knob on your dating stereo that you're adjusting to tune in, because you want to make sure you really know the person that you're dating. And once you feel like that knowing knob goes up and it's perfect, the pitch, everything's perfect on knowing, then you start to learn that you observe and learn if you can trust this person. Do they do what they say they're going to do? When you're with them and maybe they've told you things about their life in the past, and then you're with them and what they're telling you now is a little different, or maybe they're doing things that that maybe they said earlier that they didn't want to do. You're just starting to be able to connect. Is this person doing, is this principle of, if this is the values and this is the behavior, right? Is this person really doing and being the person that they say they are? And that's the next level. Before sharing physical touch, this is the next little knob that you need to tune in and get just adjusted right on your dating stereo. Then the next is relying on this person. That means not only do you know them and you're trusting them, but relying is a little more than trusting. It means that you can kind of count on them, that you might have something come up, and maybe you've got an examination and you had things squared away, but your car's not starting. You need to get help getting to the testing center for taking that test, or you're relying on this person to help you out if you've maybe had a little bit of an emergency and you need medical help, or maybe your date's taken you in the river across the creek and gotten the truck stuck.
That's too soon. That's too soon.
And you know that you can call on this person you rely on. You get the idea. So the third level that or knob that you're adjusting is, can I really rely on this person? And then commitment. Now, this is all, you're going to want to move this into your college dating experiences, because we've already talked about committing to dating relationships in high school. There really are very few people who have relationships that they commit to in high school that go on beyond high school. As a matter of fact, it's fewer than 7% of high school steady relationships actually turn out to be marriage relationships.
How many?
7%.
7%. So most everybody's like, are you going to marry that person? Absolutely. No question. I'm going to marry them. And like 7 out of 100.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's really rare. But, and honestly, Hank, I love the people you went to high school with. My goodness, I taught you, but how many of those friends are you in contact with regularly now, do you
That
think?
would be a whole, let me think. 0. That would be 0.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I exchange Christmas cards with 1 or 2 of my friends regularly from high
No.
school.
Sorry, guys. These friends from high school, you are probably not going to be spending a lot of time with after high school. In fact, I guarantee you're not. I'm better,
100%.
Tammy, I'm better friends with my college roommates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've stayed in contact with my college friends more than my high school friends.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
not that you don't, love them or you want to leave them behind, but you grow and you move on and you experience life in new ways. And they're kind of just part of your history. And so this commitment piece, I think, project this more into your future as you transition to being at a college or a post high school mission military type of experience. This is when you're a little older than you are right now,
Hmm.
but you're still doing this. You're getting to know a person first, learning to trust them, figuring out if you can rely on them, and then you want to really commit. Test it out. And I always, at this point, encourage my students to do a 14-day challenge. And I've been known, this is kind of a little thing that I was known for a lot at BYU. I don't know how much, if you heard about this or not, Nate, where'd that come from? Hank.
I don't know.
But I did a 2-week challenge with my students that for them to kind of start committing to something that they were moving forward in a relationship and to have the physical aspect of the relationship totally off the table. But what they were doing in this 2-week time period is just exploring the friendship in the relationship. How much did they really enjoy being together, doing things together? And with the friendship being the focus, there was a lot of pressure taken off of the relationship with having it to be needing to be romantic. And so then at the end of the 14 days, they would have a little DTR where they're determining the relationship. How did you feel about our 2 weeks together? Would you like to try another 2 weeks? Or are you had enough and we're kind of done? I can tell you in my years of teaching at BYU, I've had over 350 couples do the 14-day challenge that eventually got married from
Wow.
their 14-day challenge experience. And all of them have come back and told me it's because they didn't have the physical aspect of the relationship involved. They were not, and I don't want you to feel like you can't hold hands or that your kissing is bad. That's not what I'm saying. But a lot of times when you're having this physical touch, it's making it so all these other things are confused. You're confused and you're maybe not seeing clearly in these other areas of the dating stereo. And remember, I told you, and it's very humiliating to tell you the story about Wayne and the movie theater.
I forgot about Wayne in the movie theater.
I mean, the guy held my hand and was, I heart pounding. I wet my pants. It was very exciting for me. And I think that, choosing to keep the physical part of the relationship the focus is setting you up for failure. And that's exactly what Dr. Van Epp says in his research, is the more physical you are in a relationship, the less clarity you have in the relationship. And if that relationship moves forward into marriage, the more challenges that relationship will have in transitioning to marriage. And so I really think this touching piece needs to be kept and saved for special things. I think it's really important for you to start thinking about, what does holding hands mean to me? Now you might be thinking, oh my gosh, this old lady is so weird. And I'll be honest, I am a little weird, but I really do believe this is important because physical touch, romantic physical touch, should symbolize the knowledge, the trust, and the emotional connection that you have in the relationship. It's not just something you do. It's not just something you do because you're going out. It's something you're choosing intentionally to do because it symbolizes how you feel about this person.
Hmm.
What are your thoughts, Hank?
I'm right. I love it. I just looked up on Amazon how to avoid falling in love with and how to avoid falling in love with a jerk.
Uh-huh.
Uh, 18 bucks. 18 bucks. Might be totally worth it, right, Tammy? Because
I think
this
so.
might save 18 bucks might save you a whole lot of problems. So and then there's some used ones for like $6. So
Right.
yeah.
It's a great book, especially as you're moving in and starting to date and going into relationships in a few years where you're starting to date to be in a marriage relationship.
Yeah, let's have everyone text their parents right now and be like, Hank says to buy this book, How to Avoid Falling in Love with a Jerk. Go ahead and text that right now to your parents.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, they'll probably be like, how much is it? You can say it's $18. Hank says it's worth it. All right, keep going, Tam. Sorry.
Well, I think so I'm going to teach you the 3 different styles of kissing, and I actually taught Hank this back when he was in high school. So this is not new
I
news.
remember this. I remember this. This is actually pretty good. Abby, Addie, pay attention.
Everyone needs to watch my face and watch my mouth, okay?
Yep, everyone's got to watch. Clark, watch.
So there's 3 different ways of kissing, and I'm going to talk about those 3 ways with you.
Ew,
The-
this is so gross. Okay, 3 different ways of kissing.
The first one
Okay.
is wheat. Wheat. Watch my mouth. Wheat.
Wheat. Everyone practice. Wheat.
Wheat. Oh, that's good practice. The second one is barley.
Barley.
Practice barley.
Barley.
Okay, barley's the second. The
Barley.
third type of kissing, watch my mouth, is alfalfa.
Ew.
Alfalfa.
Alfalfa.
Okay, you're smart. I know you get what I'm saying. Wheat, barley, alfalfa.
Wheat. Wheat. Wheat would be like,
Barley, alfalfa. Go ahead.
wouldn't wheat be like wheat? And barley'd be like barley. And alfalfa is off limits till you get married. So don't
Well, definitely, you need to decide what each of those types of kissing means to you. Because barley or French kissing, alfalfa or French kissing is symbolizing much more connection and knowledge and trust than wheat is, right? You see the difference there.
absolutely.
And so you need to decide what those mean to you. If you hold hands with someone, does it mean you're exclusive in a relationship, or does it mean you're just out on a date together that night? You should know that. What does wheat mean? Is that just a nice little, after 5 dates, little thank you, it's fun getting to know you? Or what is that? What does barley mean when you have open mouth kissing without sharing tongues?
Blah.
What does
Sorry.
French kissing mean to you? As you decide what those things mean to you, what they symbolize to you as far as the depth of the relationship, then again, living your why, living aligned. If French kissing to you, and this is what it meant to me when I was in high school, this is what it meant to me when I was in college. The French kissing is for someone incredibly special that I might marry. And I saved my French kisses for someone that I might marry. There might be some of you that said, I'm only going to do that with someone I marry. That's awesome. You get to choose what it means for you. And when you choose that, and your behavior is different than that, you're going to be miserable. You're going to be confused. And the more physicality you have in a dating relationship, the more confusing that relationship can become. So I'd really encourage you to figure out what those different ways of touching and dating, what do they symbolize to you? And then live aligned with those meanings as you date, and talk about it with the person that you're dating. I'll often have students say to me, but Tammy, I don't feel comfortable talking about this with someone. And my answer is always the same. It really should be more comfortable to talk about it than it is to do it without.
If you can't talk about it, why are you doing it?
100%. 100%.
That's funny. I don't want to talk to him about kissing. I just want to kiss them. All right.
Right. Okay, Hank, what do you want to add to that?
Nothing. Although in high school, go for French fries and French toast. But stay away from French kissing.
I think that's great advice. I think that's really great advice. Remember, we already said that statistically, you even communicating with people that you date or know in high school is very slim.
Yeah, and that's going to be awkward when you run into them at the grocery store sometime and they're with their husband or wife and you're like, "Oh, hi. Yeah, remember how I stuck my tongue down your throat? That's really weird now."
Well,
Yeah.
also, we have bodies that are sexual, and when we do things, these are stages of sexual touch, right?
Yeah.
They're leading up to more and more types of sexual touch, and your body responds to that physical touch. You like it, the bonding hormones in your brain, all those neurotransmitters that make you want to attach and bond with someone flood the brain when you're making out with that person. And you definitely, don't want to do that with someone that you're not going to be married to and in a relationship with down the road. You're confusing yourself.
Yeah. 100%. Absolutely. No question. Can I tell a story, Tammy?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I love your stories.
Okay, I'm gonna have you stop sharing and I'm gonna start sharing. I want to tell you guys a story about a time where I could have been smarter in my dating. I could have been a little bit smarter in my dating. Let me bring this up here. All right. Some of you have maybe heard this story. I totally apologize if you've already heard this story. I was dating my girlfriend, who would eventually become my wife. All right. So here I was. I I can't believe I'm telling this story. Uh, I have all the graphics for it. I made all these graphics a long time ago, back when there was clip art, and I've never changed it. So some of you might remember clip art. So it was a Saturday morning. This is where she worked. That big square right there. That was the building she worked at. The place where my green car is, that's the parking lot. The right next to my green car, that is a cement barrier, a cement wall that held the parking lot structure in place. Down below that is I grew up in southern Utah, so that's a cactus, then a sidewalk, then the gutter, and then the road. I should probably update these pictures. I think I've had them for like 19 years or
I
something.
love this story though. It's
Yeah.
awesome.
So my wife, well, my girlfriend and I, who eventually becomes my wife, we were watching a movie together on a Friday night, and this movie was so romantic. It wasn't Windwalkers, and we did not wet our pants, but we watched this movie. I think it was called Lady Hawk. Anyway, we at the very end of this movie, this guy and this girl run together, and he's so happy to see her. He picks her up around her legs, like not around her waist, like around her, like her thighs, and they spin. And that's how the movie ends, is they're spinning around and everyone's so happy and it's so romantic. The next day, I went to visit my girlfriend at work. So she knew I was coming. This is before you could text her. So I said, "Hey, meet me outside in the parking lot at whatever time." It was early in the morning. And so that's me right there. See how cute I am, Abigail? Do you see how cute I am? All right. So that's me. Rachel, my girlfriend slash, well, she's my wife now, but my girlfriend, she came out to see me. That's her. She has a great figure. All right. So as we were meeting each other, I thought to myself, why don't we reenact the movie that we watched the night before? Right, Addie, like, why don't we reenact the movie? It'll be so much fun. So I started running at her just like the movie. And then she started running to me just like the movie, slow motion. And I was a pretty strong kid at the time. So she jumped and I wrapped my hands around her thighs and held her up, and we started spinning. We were spinning, and you guys, it was amazing. She had long brown hair and it was flowing, and the birds were chirping and the clouds were making heart shapes. It was absolutely amazing. Aubrey, I'm telling you, amazing. Cano family, Stevens Phillips, amazing. It was absolutely amazing. So we're spinning and we're spinning and we're spinning when all of a sudden, there is a really sharp pain on my leg. I mean, like, not little. like a really bad pain on my leg. And I'm like, holy cow, we just hit my car. Oh, word, you guys, we just hit my car. That's why I hit my leg on the car. And I thought to myself, no big deal, right? This hurts, but I'll just set her down on the car, right? I'm like, I'll just set her down on the car and we'll laugh and we'll kiss. So we're spinning. We hit the car. I go to set her down on the trunk of the car. But as I go, you guys, as I go to put Sarah, my current wife, why I go to put her down on the car, like she's not stopping. Like she's like the car, she should have hit the trunk by now. Like, why has she not hit the trunk of the car? So now I'm like, and all this happened really fast. And I'm like, what is going on? Like, where's the car? And what? Well, I opened my eyes to see where we were. And fortunately, we had not hit the car. We went in the parking spot right next to the car, and we were right here. Now, this was a bad moment. Sydney, thank you for that look. This was a very bad moment. This, you guys, this was a terrible, terrible moment. I remember this moment specifically because we made eye contact. And she was terrified. You guys, she was terrified. And I'm like, you're gonna die. Like holy cow, you're gonna die. So here we were, right here. Now, let me explain. Some people have said to me, why didn't you like fall underneath her? Well, first, let me tell you this. My first thought was, let's all come back to the parking lot. My second thought was, that is not going to happen. We are both going over because we were going along pretty quick. Stevens, you with me? We were going along pretty quick. And so we're both going over this wall. Like there's no question. So then people have said, why didn't you like grab her and roll underneath her and let her fall on top of you? I don't know. I don't know. Why weren't you there to help me? I don't know why I didn't do that. But I thought to myself, well, okay, listen, Phillips, listen. I didn't have a lot of time to think. All right. I had guess how much time I had to think. Pay really close attention. This is how much time I had to think. Ready? From now to now. That's how much time I had to think. You go through all the pros and cons of each between now and now, because that's all the time I had. So you guys, I did the first thing I could think of. I thought maybe if I throw her, something good will happen. So I just chucked her as hard as I could. I just threw her. I know now, you guys. I know now that I know Addie, I know. Okay. I know. But at the time, it felt like a good idea. AJ, it felt like a fine idea. Andolin, okay, Liz, it felt fine. It felt fine. So, now, luckily, you guys, I did not hit the ground that hard. I got impaled by a cactus. I mean, in every possible way. I had cactus needles go through my armpit. Sydney, through my armpit. This is not a joke, and I am not lying, Cambry. I had a cactus needle go in my eye. It went in my eye, and my eye was closed, of course, so it like pinned my eyelid closed. Abigail, stop smiling. This is like the first time you've smiled this whole time. Stop it. So I am in so much pain, and I'm like, where's she gone? Like, is she okay? I threw her pretty hard. So I got up, like I couldn't get up because my leg hurt so bad, but I could look up and I was like, where is she? And only one eye would open. I couldn't figure out why my other eye wouldn't open. Because again, this was all happening really fast. And you guys, she had gone pretty far. She had cleared the sidewalk and the gutter and the first lane of traffic. She was in the turning lane of the road. She's in the turning lane of the road. And I was like, and I couldn't see her, right? Because I was pretty much on the ground and she's on the ground. So I could only see the bottom of her feet, right? Because I'm looking straight ahead because I'm on the ground. And so I can see the bottom of her feet, and her right foot is shaking. That's the only thing I can see is her right foot is shaking. And my thought was like, she's dying. She is having a seizure. She hit her head. She's dying. I have to get to her before she dies. No, Austin, she did not get hit by a Bugatti. Okay, so it wasn't a very busy road. All right, like there wasn't a bus that went by like boom, boom. Right, it didn't. That didn't happen. So, you guys, I'm in so much pain. My leg hurts. The cactus needles are all over. I can't stand up. So I army crawl with my left arm out. Okay, want to hear something stupid? I looked both ways. Is that weird? Like I looked both ways. It's just my parents had ingrained in me, look both ways. So I looked both ways. And I I army crawled out to her, and you guys, she was not dying. She had not hit her head. She's laughing so hard that she's banging her right foot on the ground because she can't. Have you ever been laughing so hard you can't breathe? Where you're like, I can't breathe, I can't breathe. You gotta stop. You gotta stop. Adeline, she is like dying. Hudson, I'm not kidding. She is dying. She's laughing so hard. Well, apparently the sight of me like army crawling up with little bits of blood pouring out of my face was even funnier because she started banging both feet on the ground, and the tears are going down the side of going down the side of her face. And once I saw she was okay, I was like, oh, I'm not okay. Like I am not okay. I am in so much pain. Yeah, we're still in the road, Cami. We're still in the road at this point. And I laid down next to her in the road, and I'm like, I am hurt. I am hurting like really bad. And she sat up and she's like, what's wrong? What's wrong? She's like, what do you have? Like, why is your eye? And I was like, I'm in so much pain. She pulled the cactus needle out of my eye, right? She pulled it out of my eye. Now, fortunately, I don't know if you know this, but you can stick like pins in your eye and it really doesn't do anything unless you hit like the important parts. She pulled the cactus needle out of my eye, and I was like, oh, thank you. And so I basically had to like, she had to like hold me. Like I had to use her as like this support because my leg was hurting so much from hitting the wall. So she carried me basically back into the where she worked. Now picture this. She had been gone, you guys, like 3 minutes. She said, hey, Hank has brought me some food. I'm going to go out and see him. And 3 minutes later, she comes into work with me like, right. And they're like, what happened? What happened? And Sarah's laughing so hard. She can't tell them what happened. And I'm like, oh, I'm in so much pain. So, there was like, she told me there were dozens of cactus needles, like the big ones, not the tiny little ones, like the big ones, like in my armpit all the way down. And I just had to sit there while these guys came up and like pulled them out. And sometimes my girlfriend, Sarah, my wife, she was laughing so hard, she would push on them. She would push on them instead of pulling on them. She would push on them on accident. She's like, so sorry, so sorry. All right. So now I have a very important lesson from this. One, I wanted to make you laugh, and I wanted you to realize your life, you will never do something that awful. Tammy and she wet her pants at the movies, and I fell on a cactus. And if you have a bad dating experience, it will never be as bad as those two things.
That's true.
Yeah. But I did learn some lessons. I did learn that one, let's go back. I should have been paying attention, right? Like I should have, instead of being like, I'm in love. I'm so in love. This is amazing. I should have been thinking, I have this girl like in the air. I should probably be careful with her because like her life is important to me. So I should have been paying attention. One, we shouldn't have gone beyond the boundary, right? We had boundaries. And when you go beyond the boundary, you get hurt, right? This is what your date will look like if you try to push the boundaries, right? They will look at you And they'll be like, "What are you doing to me? What are you doing to me?" Now, I was able to recover, even though I fell in a cactus. I was able to recover, but you want to make sure that you're taking care of your date. Yes, I did recover, Cami. Not, I mean, there's still a little brain damage, but just from me, not for her, Addie, not for her. So here's the rules: take care of your date. Pay attention to where you are. Don't get so caught up. You're like, I'm in love. I'm in love, that you stop paying attention and thinking, right? And don't go over the boundaries that you've set. You're gonna get hurt. All right, Tammy, thanks for giving me that.
Oh, I love that story. Every time you tell it, it makes me still laugh. I love it. But I'm so sorry that you were so hurt.
Yes, it was the therapy helped me get past it. So
I'm really glad you and Sarah still got together too.
yeah, we still ended up getting married.
That's awesome. Well, Hank was talking about he went beyond the boundary. So I did,
Whoa, look at that. We didn't
I
even
know.
need to do that.
Perfect. I know you were just, we were spot on. I want to just mention these. I know we're kind of getting close to time here a little bit. So I want to talk a little bit about these boundaries that I think are really important for you to consider. And Hank, you jump in with whatever information you want to share.
You got it.
Emotional boundaries. This is big. Gradually, I think what I try to encourage my students when I was teaching at BYU to do is in dating relationships, when you start sharing emotionally with someone, say you start sharing a little bit more about what you believe or what you really feel and think about things, or you're opening up a little bit maybe about your family, whatever it is, you're sharing more emotionally than they are, and or you're sharing more emotionally, you need to see what happens. Do they match you in that emotional sharing, or do they kind of stay here and not really share? If they're staying here, come on back down and match them. Now, as you transition and move on in a few years and are in college settings and you start dating to move towards marriage, this is really an important key. I've had so many students thank me for this little, it's kind of an intervention, if you want to look at it that way, is to observe when you share something that's a little more vulnerable and your person is matching that, that's a good sign. If that never happens and your conversations are never really going anywhere deeper, that's a little bit of a red flag. There needs to be some matching there of emotional for emotional intimacy to grow. I also think that be wise that you just don't come and share everything. Like I share, I'm going to tell you this, I'm going to tell you this, I'm going to tell you this. Pretty soon you're going to be in such an off balance relationship this way, it won't last. So think
Yeah.
about emotional boundaries. Little bit by little bit, that will really help with the development of your relationship.
That goes back, Tammy. We said, do not become someone's therapist. Like that is so common this day and age that people are like, well, I need to take care of them. What if they hurt themselves and I wasn't there? You're not their therapist. Tell an adult, say, I think they might hurt themselves. And if they're mad at you, they're mad at you, but you're not their therapist. Sorry, Tammy.
No, I'm glad you said that. It's 100% true. Physical boundaries are about your body, about the person you're with's body, and the personal space that you're sharing. Again, I think, like I said, decide what holding hands is going to mean with you. Decide what different types of kissing symbolizes to you, and make sure that you have the conversation with the person you're with. Holding hands means this to me, and or I'm not going to really hold hands until I know that this relationship is going to move into something exclusive down the road. So be wise and talk about the physical boundaries that you have. And finally, this is huge in today's dating world and social world, is digital boundaries. It's important before marriage, it's important after marriage. I cannot tell you the number of couples I work with in therapy that come in, and because digital boundaries have been not established or violated in some way, there is a lot of pain within the relationship and within the family system. Determine what you're comfortable with sharing when you're online. Be very careful that you're not disclosing information that you regret sharing. Be very careful about texting images or sharing images. Clearly identify what your boundaries are going to be with your phones, with different online gaming or apps that you use. Establish clear boundaries with that and hold on to that. Keep that aligned so that your behavior is not different than what you believe is best for you to be doing, because that honestly creates misery. It brings misery to your life.
100%, Tammy, 100%. Do not, absolutely do not set up your own personal boundary. You will not ever do anything that's like sexting. You are just absolutely not. Just be like, no, I don't do that kind of thing. You don't send any pictures, never. That just is not something, that's not you. It's not what you do. If you do happen to make a mistake with that, tell somebody, tell your parents, tell someone you trust, hey, I made a mistake and this happened, because we want to make sure that you are safe. A couple of things. One, and this isn't to scare you, but just to let you know that this happens sometimes, is that people that you don't know will tell you they want to sext with you over, digitally, and they get pictures of you, and then they say we're not actually the person you think we are, but you're going to give us this much money, or we're going to make these pictures public. And that has happened to a lot of people, where they'll be like, hey, by the way, now that we have these pictures of you, you're going to give us $100. And then you give the $100, and then they're like, you're going to give us $100 more. And they just keep asking and asking until you have nothing else to give. And people have ended up in terrible situations. One kid that I know in Utah here, he ended up taking his own life because he made that mistake, and he didn't need to do that. Like, he made that mistake. He should have gone and talked to somebody and said, listen, this is what happened. My brother-in-law, his name's Derek. He's in the Secret Service. I don't know if it's a secret or not, but he's in the Secret Service. And he says that if you're under 18 and you send pictures of yourself or anyone else to someone else, you're actually committing a crime. You can be arrested because it's called child pornography. And if you are sharing those images with like friends and someone sends one to you, do not send anything on ever. Just delete it and get rid of it. Because one, it's just not you. It's not with your values. And two, it's actually a crime, right? You want nothing to do with that.
Right. If someone, is asking for nudes and different things, that is the perfect person to block and to ghost completely. Report, I think, tell your parents, tell someone you trust about the situation so that that person can get the help that they need to get better. But you don't have to be the one reaching out to help them. Tell a trusted adult. They can do the adulting. My son is a detective, and I cannot tell you how many times he says things that end up being really big crimes start out with digital information that shouldn't have ever been shared. So what you're saying is exactly true. And finally, kind of last but really important, I know you've been taught this probably your whole life, but to make decisions before you're actually in the moment. Knowing beforehand, many of the principles we've taught you tonight require you to think about them before you're actually in a dating situation when that decision needs to be made. So I ask you to kind of ponder these questions, journal about these questions, and what they mean to you right now. What is your why? Can you decide? Can you really know what it is that you want to live for, who it is that you want to become? The sooner you can identify that, the easier it is for you to start choosing to live aligned with that. Decide what you really value in friendships and choose friends that are in aligned with those values. What does self-respect look like for you? What does it mean that I love myself more than then it's more important to love myself than it is to try to fit in and be really popular, or to get a date, or to have a boyfriend or a girlfriend. How will you include your parents in all of this? Many of you have amazing parents that want to be part of the story and want to be there as a safety net for you as you move forward into adulthood. Do decide how you're going to allow them to be part of this for you. And then finally, I've said it several times, and this is the last time I'll say it, is please decide what the symbols of physical touch mean to you. That can really eliminate so many situations that you would down the road really regret.
100%. 100%. I do this for me. If any of you are taking notes, will you write down this? This is for me. I don't know what Tammy would say, but for me, this is something if you were going to take away one thing away, I want you to remember this. And you can think about it for a long time. Put it up in your room or on your locker or something. People are not objects. People are not objects. Can you say it out loud? All right. Cannon Phillips. Cano Phillips, Sir something, Surly. Right. People are not objects. Objects are to be used. People are to be loved and cared for.
I love that. Hank, that's such important. I love that. So know beforehand, make these important adult decisions now. And honestly, you will not find yourself in that gulf of misery. And if you do find yourself in a miserable spot, it won't take you long to get back if this is some of the things that you do now. All right, I think we've got a few minutes to answer some questions. Is there anything you wanted to add before we go to questions, Hank?
I don't think so. I'm feeling good. You can just go to the chat if you want.
Oh, I forgot I had this one. A person might not look where he's going, but he will always go where he's looking. And I love that. And I actually got that from the Follow Him podcast a few years ago, Hank. I love the idea that day after day, choosing to look up, to live that alignment, vertical alignment with heaven, that, my friend, is where you will go.
Yep.
Okay. Questions. Can you see the questions in the chat at all?
Yep. I can see if anybody has questions. I will read them to you.
Perfect.
I'm getting a lot of people are not objects. That's good.
Good.
All right. Getting why do you need 2 cassette players on a boombox? I have no idea.
That's
Maybe
a good question.
maybe so you don't have to take 2 tapes with you, 2 cassettes.
Could be. Maybe that was so they could charge you more for the boombox.
Yeah, probably. I don't think you could play them at the same time.
No, we couldn't play them at the same time for
No.
sure.
I remember trying.
But that means I could have Barry Manilow and Neil Diamond with me at the same time.
Wow. They have no idea who that is.
I know.
Lissa says if you haven't dated before, how do you get started? I would say one of the best ways is to just become a good friend. That usually can turn into dates when you're just yourself, you're confident, you're fun, and you're just a good friend to people. Those things eventually will probably turn into getting, either asked out or opportunities to ask someone out.
100%. I tell everyone I know that if I could change one thing about one word in the English language, it would be dating. If I could wave my magic wand and say, get rid of dating and just say, making a friend, go on date or make friends. And then as you enjoy doing more things with an individual and you connect more emotionally with them, then you do a little bit more as friends, and then it moves into more. But I think look at dating instead of something that needs to be really affectionate or needs to have some type of romantic symbol touch in it. Instead, look at finding friends and being a friend.
Excellent.
Noah, can you stop doing that, dude?
Noah.
You can go ahead and erase it too.
Yeah, you could do that. Nice job, Noah. All right. Questions. What about this one? How do you break up with someone if you really don't want to lose the friendship? Well, honestly, the best way to not lose a friendship is to not go past a friendship. Like that, I know you're already there when you're asking this question, but just remember from here on out, that is not the way you want to go. So I don't know how you preserve that friendship, but I do know if you're in a toxic relationship, it's better that you get out of it and lose the friendship than to stay in the relationship just because you don't want to lose the friendship. If it's not serving you, it's not talk, it's bad, it's you're being used or something. Uh, you can always get a new group of friends. I promise. There's always a new group of friends out there, but it will be hard for a while.
So totally, especially if you've shared physical things, like we've
Yeah.
been talking about, it makes it really hard to go back to being friends. It will change the, maybe I'll just stop screen sharing. It will
Yeah.
change the dynamic of your relationship, um, so that it's hard to go back to being friends when you've shared things physically. I think it's, unless you're in a relationship that you need to ghost for your own safety, I think it's very important to have a face-to-face conversation with that person, to be a friend and just say, hey, I think we're getting too serious. We need to back off. I really enjoy our friendship and I want to focus on the friendship more. But I think we deserve, we're people, we deserve to have that be a conversation that we share face to face.
Absolutely. Let's see. How do you move your feelings on from someone you connect with to allow yourself to go out and have experiences with others? That's hard. That's definitely hard. I would say you're probably not going to lose those feelings for someone else before you go out with someone, right? Like, I think the going out with someone, other people over a while will help those feelings diminish. So when you're connected to someone, you feel really strongly about them, but it's not going to work out. Those things will fade over time as you move forward and do the things that you would do had you if you didn't have those feelings anymore, right? So just keep moving forward, knowing that they will fade over time. Is that right, Tammy?
100%, 100%. And I think in that time frame, do everything you can to strengthen your core self. Do things that you love to do. Tap into ways that you can grow and develop and be more creative. Do things to strengthen you, and that will help that kind of fade a little smoother and quicker.
Yeah, it's totally natural to get attached to someone, especially from what we've talked about today. If you move into touch and kissing, that's definitely, you're going to create an attachment, an emotional attachment to them, and it will fade over time. But you've got to move on. You can't just sit in your room and think about it.
Right.
Are girls allowed to ask guys out? Yeah, I would definitely think so. This was a long time ago when I was back dating, but I loved it when a girl said something like, "Hey, when are you going to ask me out?" I really liked that. I was like, "Oh, I've been wanting to. Like I've been wanting to ask you out." Uh, it might not work sometimes. They might be like, huh?" And then, that's just the way it goes. Remember, we talked about having thick skin. Anything, Tammy? Can a girl ask a guy out?
I think it's a new world, and that girls we're more egalitarian than ever before. And if that's something you're comfortable doing as a girl to ask someone out, go ahead and do it. I will be honest, I feel like I'm an old-fashioned girl. I'm old, so I should be old-fashioned, but when I was a widow and I started dating again, I was amazed how many women would be asking men out. And that I was never comfortable with that. I waited for men to ask me out, but that's because that was comfortable for me. If you're comfortable with asking people out, we are in a new time, and I think that's fine.
If you're gonna ask a girl out, how do you approach her? Um, I think in general, like I don't know, Tammy, a lot of my college students, they just text someone and say, "Hey, I'd love to go out sometime." And that's a little like that's risky. They might not text you back, but a little bit of, a little bit of, "Hey, I'd love to go out. Do you want to go out sometime? Do you want to go on a date?" It's so we don't have to make it complicated.
Yeah.
But maybe I'm wrong, Tammy.
Oh, I think that's great. I think I would say instead of going out on a date, I would say something, hey, I love to rock climb. Would you like to join me?
Oh, that's a great
Or,
idea.
I love pickleball. Would you like to play sometime? And there's a little trick that I think can help you. If there's someone you're really interested in, I'm going to tell you this really quick story, but if there's someone you're interested in and you really do want to date them, find out what they're good at and then invite them to go and do that. A long time ago, 10 years ago, I was teaching at BYU and I had a student that was so excited. He asked a girl out that he was so excited to go out. He was talking to me about it before the date. It was over the weekend. He came back the next week and I said, how did it go? And he just said, oh my gosh, she's just not that smart. It was a horrible time. We didn't have fun at all. And I said, I'm so sad because you were so excited. And I encouraged him to figure out what this girl liked doing and then to ask her out again and to go do that. Well, he found out she really enjoyed line dancing. So he invited her to go line dancing. And in that date, he saw her kind of in her element and
Oh
they had
man.
a wonderful time. And I actually got a Christmas card from them this Christmas, and they have 3 children now. So I'm really
Oh,
glad he asked her to go line dancing. Find out what they're good at and go do that with them.
that's awesome. Hey, by the way, we're going over our time. Feel free to go. Like if you need to go, feel free to be like, hey, thanks, Hank and Tammy.
Totally. You'll
See
have
ya.
access to this recording for about the next 90 days. So if there's things you need to go do, you can always come back on and watch the questions. We'll be on for a few more minutes, not a lot longer.
Yeah, yeah. So don't feel like Garrett, I don't want you to feel like you have to sit there in the church any longer than you need to. Garrett, you got big arms, brother. Like, holy cow, look at that. We're gonna call Garrett Guns. All right. Guns in Meridian. All right. So Tammy, a couple of easy questions, I think. How do you not give the girls an idea that you're like a player, even though you want to date a lot of people?
Yeah,
I
go
one I
ahead.
would think one I would say you can date a lot of people, but you shouldn't be kissing a lot of people, holding hands with a lot of people, and trying to giving people the wrong idea. Now, if they get the wrong idea and you didn't give it, that's not on you. But I think a player is someone who's like, look, I'm going to lead a bunch of people on at the same time. Am I off, Tammy? It's okay if I'm
No,
not.
I think you're spot on. I think you should be dating a lot of people right now. You absolutely should be dating a lot of people right now. And finding out friendships that you really enjoy. I think, like Hank said, if you're kissing a lot of different people while you're going out, you're just confusing yourself and you are being a player. But dating a lot of people right now without the physical response is exactly what I think you should be doing.
Yeah. And if someone criticizes you for that, that's on them.
It
Uh,
is.
yeah. Let's see. I think let's see, we're almost out of questions, Tammy.
Awesome.
Yeah. Can a girl propose? Yeah. That's not what this is about. Don't propose. Come to our college version of this.
Yeah, there's a college version this fall, so maybe we
Yeah,
can try that when you're in
when,
college.
yeah, when you're old enough. Yeah. If you want to ask someone out, do what Tammy did. Just say, hey, me and my friends are going to do this such and such a thing. Love for you to come with us. Like that. That's great. Right? That makes it easy. And someone can say, "Oh, I'm busy." Totally fine. Totally fine. Who should pay on a date? Tammy, don't you think it's probably the person who invited? Am I wrong?
Absolutely. No, I think that's exactly right. If you've asked someone to go rock climbing, if you've asked them to do something, I think you're responsible for paying.
What about we've got two questions here. Let's say the person you are liking and dating is about to head out on a mission. You've probably dealt with this, Tammy. What do you usually tell
Let
those?
them go. Let them go on their mission and don't put yourself in the freezer. You go too and do a lot of, what by that I mean, it used to be, I don't know that I see this as much anymore actually, but I feel like in the past, a lot of times when guys would leave on their missions and it was 3 years until a girl could serve a mission, that a lot of times they would kind of put themselves in cold storage, waiting for their missionaries to come back. You're stunting your own growth and progression by doing that. cut that relationship, cut the apron strings, let that person serve the mission, and you go do you.
Yeah, and if it's going to work out, it's going to work out. You don't need
Right.
to try to control it. And that's a long time. So be friends. Don't do they're heading out on a mission. No reason to do lots of things that'll make you connect emotionally, but enjoy each other's company. And then when they go, give them a big high five and say, go rock it, go do well out there.
That
Um,
allows them to really be able to serve a lot better.
Yeah. How do you nicely turn someone down? I would say in general, unless you feel unsafe, it's nice to go. Like you don't have to be like, they're not as cute as I would want. I'm not going to go with like you might learn some things. See ya, Hudson. You might learn some things about people. So I went on a date once, this girl who had special needs. She asked me out, and I could have said, like, oh, I don't want to go on a date with someone with special needs. Like, that's going to be difficult. It ended up being such a fun date. I learned a lot about how to treat people in that situation. And I'd still tell that story to this day. Tammy, anything on
I
turning a
love
date
that.
down? I would say if you don't feel safe,
Mhm.
don't go.
If you don't feel safe, absolutely don't go on that date. You can say no. You can ghost that person that, you don't feel safe around. But I think look at it as making a friend. It doesn't need to be romantic. If you look at this as being a friendship deal, there's no reason not to go do something with a friend.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. I think that is about it, my friends. You are wonderful. We loved being with you.
Yes, yes,
Um,
yes.
I'm going to let you unmute so you can say goodbye. So here you can unmute and say goodbye to us, please. As you
Goodbye. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Thank
See you later.
you.
Thank you so much.
Bye, my friend.
Bye.
Bye.
Goodbye. Fun to be with
Bye.
you.
Both my siblings are asleep.
Kelsey.
What?
That's okay. Not
Thanks,
all
Hank.
right.
Both
Bye-bye.
my siblings are
Yeah,
asleep
I
right
heard.
now.
I heard. Thank
What?
you.
Oh my gosh.
All right.
Bye.
Bye, Cano, Stevens,
Bye.
Phillips. See you later.
Bye.
Texas. See you in
Yeah.
Texas.
Thank you. So fun.
Clark.
So fun to be with you.
Bye.
No,
Bye, Freddie.
Stay away from me, mate.
See you later, alligator.
See
Bye.
you later.
Thank
See
How
you.
many people have
See you
left? Oh,
later.
there's only
Hank.
like 10 people.
Cano girls, you're the
Toodaloo,
best.
kangaroo.
See you in Texas.
Goodbye,
You guys are the
everybody. No,
best.
don't.
Bye. So fun. So fun.
Let's do the
Thank you.
heart thing again. Let's do the heart.
Bye.
Bye, Garrett. Bye, Guns.
Everyone say bye at the same time.
See you, Guns.
Bye. You guys are great. Thank you.
Okay. I should probably give you your phone back.
See you. You're wonderful. Goodbye. All right, Tammy, I'm going to turn us off.
Bye.
Bye. No.
Bye.
Thank
you.